Leicester City versus West Ham. We'll go to you first, Adrian, once we take a look at the betting that we currently have on matchbook.com. Leicester City out a small bit from this morning, 2.04. West Ham 3.8. The draw is available at 4.0. Both teams to score short enough again at around 1.68. And the Asian handicap line sees West Ham get half a goal head start at 1.94, and the goal line is 2.5. So yeah, Adrian, I mentioned the difference of opinion. You're going to make the case for Leicester City. I'm going to say it's going to be quite a hard case considering how poorly they've been the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, no, look, the record coming into the final weekend is pretty dreadful, isn't it? Under Dean Smith, he's not really managed to turn things around at all. But I thought it was a pretty impressive effort, if not an impressive performance at Newcastle. I admired Dean Smith for the tactical approach. To leave out your two best players, Barnes and Maddison, for the penultimate match of the season was a massive call. But I think he recognised that the best we can do here, we're not going to win a match against Newcastle away, slugging it out. And he thought, we'll play for a draw. And if we nick a win, great. And they nearly got one at the end, if you remember, with that volley from the Maddison cross. So I thought it was actually a really clever plan. And it worked because they got the point that then puts the pressure on Everton to win on the final day. Leicester basically were backing themselves to draw there and win against West Ham on the final day. And it will be a genius plan if it pays off and Everton don't get the result. So I do think belief will have grown on the back of that point at Newcastle United. Barnes and Maddison will come back into the team. They have to, and it'll be a flip in terms of the tactical approach. This time it'll be attacking, and they'll go for it right from the off, I'd imagine, and test how much West Ham fancy it. They did beat West Ham earlier on in the season, 2-0 at the London Stadium. So they've got that on their side. And even though West Ham are in decent form, very impressive last weekend against Leeds, they've been pretty rubbish on the road this season. They've lost 12 of 18. You know, only Southampton, Leeds and Forest have lost more games away from home than West Ham United. They've lost their last 3 away from home as well, conceding 9 goals to Hammers. And they're in that awkward position. I think David Moyes will pick his strongest team because it's 10 days away from a European final. But at the same time, those players will be thinking, I don't want to get injured here. You know, they might subconsciously at least hold back, and that might play into Leicester's hands. So, yeah, I think Leicester can do it. I really do. Barnes and Maddison, if they're on it, and their record, by the way, in matches that Leicester have won this season is amazing. So they've won 8. Maddison played in 6 of those games. In those 6 games, Maddison scored 6 goals and made 4 assists. Barnes played in 7 of the 8 wins. He scored 6 goals across those victories. So when they turn up, those two, Leicester normally win. And they've got to turn up for this one. I think Leicester are more likely to beat West Ham than Everton are to beat Bournemouth. It's just how I feel. Even though the form, has been pretty wretched up until this point, I think they've got a chance to save themselves.
Okay, yeah. So that's Adrian going for Leicester City here. Miguel, over to you. You're looking at a goals angle, and again, set this one up first because Leicester City still have a decent chance of staying up. Obviously, if Everton avoid defeat or Everton don't win the game, and a Leicester City win, goal difference is clear, so they will stay up. Sorry, come in again, Miguel. Sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry, so you just muted yourself.
I'm actually similar thinking to Adrian, from maybe a slightly different perspective. Funnily, in what we're hearing, that the connection between Smith and the squad isn't maybe as strong as it could be at this point. I think there's been a few little questions about tactics, but all that said, I agree to get the draw against Newcastle is a good result. And whatever about kind of the likelihood of winning this individual game on a day, I think Leicester also have the best individual players that whatever about what a wider form, when it comes down to like on an afternoon like this, one game, you'd want some of Leicester's players involved rather than anyone else, especially given some of the team issues elsewhere. Harvey Barnes being among the most prominent, as Adrian mentioned. Same with Maddison. I think that could be a difference. Given the way this whole battle has gone, I'm not confident enough to pick a victory for any one of these 3 teams. So I'm going to go on the safer side, which again feels high goals. But I think that's especially the case in this game, given that West Ham aren't exactly the most resilient defensively of late. Leicester have to go for it. They have got attacking quality. There have been a few hints that might release the Newcastle game notwithstanding. So I'm going for over 2.5.
Okay, yeah, 1.7 currently, over 2.5 goals. West Ham have been playing with freedom, particularly in that Leeds game last week. Mark, I'm guessing by your bet that you weren't impressed with Leicester's away performance against Newcastle, albeit they did manage to get the result in the end.
I found this game the hardest of the 3 Premier League games we're going to discuss. I wanted to be with goals as well. I thought 1.7 was just about on the cusp of acceptable. So, no, I wasn't that impressed with Leicester away at Newcastle, actually. And I think some of the narrative since then has been a little bit overblown in terms of what Dean Smith did.
From Adrian, you mean?
No. It's not aimed at Adrian at all. But I just think, a lot of people have sort of indicated the fact that they got that result, they got that clean sheet. And I know at this stage of the season, people will say results are all that matter. But I thought Leicester were quite fortunate to do so. And I was really disappointed, actually, in what they produced in forward areas. In a match, you must not lose. I guess that was the mindset going into it. But you've got to try and attempt to do a bit more than have one shot, and that coming in the 92nd minute. Conceding 23 attempts and having your woodwork hit 3 times, there's a bit of fortune there to go in your favour. But some of the talk after it was as if Leicester had turned into 1990s AC Milan or something. I thought they were quite lucky not to concede. So survival still remains out of their hands, really. And I thought they could have put themselves into a better position if they were a bit more proactive. And I know they sort of bought their time really before bringing on the big guns off the bench. But for me, if you're going to go down, you go down swinging. And I think, Everton need to beat Bournemouth regardless this weekend. So why not have a bit more of a go at Newcastle? But yeah, rant over really. Ultimately, can I back Leicester at even money? A team that won 8 times all season, 4 times at home. They've won once since February, 1 clean sheet in 23. And as I said, we're quite fortunate to do so. No, I can't, to be honest. So my numbers have them closer to 2.8. And I think that drop off down to even money is too big. I agree with Adrian. I think West Ham do go with a strong team here because of the 10-day break before the Conference League final. God, there's always concerns about players not wanting to be injured and not sort of committing 100% to this match. But I think confidence is high in the West Ham camp right now. And I think they'll be eager to kind of keep that high. The last thing they want to do is go and get spanked 3 or 4-0 by Leicester on the final day. So, I kind of agree with what the guys have said. All the 3 teams we talked about, Leicester, Leeds and Everton, they're not all going to win. One of them's definitely not going to win. I'll put my house on it. So I'm quite happy to kind of oppose them at short prices. So I found this the most difficult of the 3 to select. I would have gone down goals if we could have got 175 or bigger. I don't think we will. So happy to back West Ham with a half-goal start at almost the same price as Leicester to win.
And I'm happy to leave this match in terms of an official bet from the podcast. Tough game to call, but 3 different selections there. Leicester City for Adrian at 2.04, over 2.5 goals for Miguel, 1.7, and tentative pick West Ham plus half a goal for Mark O'Hare.